Okay, so we're now recording for those who cannot make the session live. So if you have a question you want me to answer, I can absolutely answer it. Or if you want to have a chat, we can do that too. Or if you just want to listen in, that's okay as well. Like I can just talk if you want. I can just talk about anything. But I wanted to let you all know that we have now opened the new Sculpted with Science group. Here it is here. If you log into the app, it is here in the homepage, Sculpted with Science. At the minute, only the first 2 weeks workouts are there because I'm still recording them. I've nearly week 2 finished. I'll have week 2 finished today. Or sorry, week 3 finished today. So the week 3 will be open. I'll tell you a little bit about it while we're waiting for you guys to ask your questions if you have any in the chat. So basically this workout or this training program that I have created, Laura, will you let people in, by the way, just save me having to keep watching for it. So this training program that I have created, it really came off the back of me doing very deep research into GLPs and into medical weight loss solutions, because I don't know how many people here are using medical weight loss solutions or thinking about using them or thinking about maybe microdosing. That's what I'm doing. I'm really glad that we have this space to be able to have this conversation. I think it's so important because there's such a void of information out there. But I'll tell you a bit about the workouts just while I'm waiting for questions to come through. I'll tell you a bit about the workouts and why I decided to create this program, because I realized that, I've talked about this quite a lot on the podcast. I don't know if you guys have listened or not. You should if you haven't. But we have tens of thousands of women in our group, and I know what the hot topics are in the world because you guys talk about them because women talk, right? And so I know what's on your mind, and I know what's going on with you all because it's all discussed in the group. That's how I knew menopause was a big new kind of hot topic years ago, because everybody in the group started talking about menopause and asking about menopause. And that's how I was like, okay, well, menopause is clearly like the new veganism. And so we decided to create programs for menopause. But then what happened or the realization I had was, after talking to my gardener, which many of you will know, whenever he told me that Weight Watchers had gone out of business and it was because of people who were taking medical weight loss injections, I realized that there must be a massive void of information here, because nobody in my groups had been talking about the medical weight loss injections. Like nobody had been discussing them. It hadn't even been a comment in any of the posts. And I thought, oh, well, if this is big enough to put Weight Watchers out of business, but no one is talking about it, this is a problem, because it means there's a void of information. It means that women are not getting the support that they need. And that worst of all, I think the biggest thing for me was feeling that women might feel ashamed of taking them. And that was the biggest thing for me. I think that I probably have a real, I have a really close relationship with shame, or a real hard relationship with shame, because definitely, I mean, I love my mum. She is amazing. But one of the ways that we would have been controlled as kids would have been through shame. And my mum was obviously controlled through shame. And so she definitely has the shame button installed. And so she installed it in us. And so how she used to control us when we were kids was by like threatening to like expose parts of us, like, tell people we were dirty or, different things. And so that's how because that worked for her, that kind of worked for us. I'll tell you a funny story about that actually still while I wait on the questions coming through. It was because I have the shame button installed. Like if anyone ever said to me, "You disgust me," like my life would be over. Not now probably, but years ago I would have been like, my life would have been over. And so whenever I first got together with my husband, Ryan loves to fart. God almighty, that man loves to fart, and he takes great pride in his farting. Great pride. Like if Ryan, the loudest and smelliest he can make that fart, the happier he is. And the louder and worse your reaction, the happier he is, the more joy it brings him. This is what I have now realized. And if you don't have a reaction, he's so disappointed. Like now, he's like a child. Now I'm like, whenever he farts, I'm like, I give him like a wee round of applause. He's like, thank you. And he really like takes great joy in it. So why am I telling the farting story? Because in the beginning, like Ryan I hated that he would have, literally tried to fart on me. Like, and if it was really smelly or really bad, he would have like pulled me under the covers and like gassed me. And I would have been so angry and really up. This is disgusting. Like I was really like, I can't believe a man would ever actually do this. And so there was one day we were lying on the couch. We weren't that long together, like maybe a couple of months. And we were snuggling up on the couch. We had no kids or anything at the time. And Ryan let off the smelliest fart. I mean, this was like pure diarrhea. Like, I swear, if he didn't shit himself when he did that fart, like, there's something seriously wrong. He honestly smelled like he'd shit his pants. And I honestly nearly gagged. I was nearly sick. It was like literally sitting in a slurry tank. And I thought, I can't have this anymore. And so I said to Ryan, I got like really angry. I was like, that is disgusting. And he started laughing his head off. And of course, the more he laughed, the angrier I got. And so I was like, so I started, and so I was like, well, I have to pull out the big guns. I pull out the big guns. So I was like, you disgust every fiber of my soul. Like, I really put a lot of power behind it, you know? You disgust every fiber of my soul. Like, every part of my being is repelled by you. And I was like, this is going to get him, right? He's going to be like, you know, I was trying to control him. I was trying to have him go like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, I will never do this again because I don't want him to feel this way about me. Ryan was bent double. He was laughing so hard. He was actually snorting and stomping the floor. Like, he couldn't talk for choking. And I was like, what is wrong with this man? I have told him that he repels every fiber of my soul. And he's laughing his head off like it doesn't work. I was so confused because the shame button had been installed in me when I was younger. And so if anyone ever said to me that I disgusted every fiber of their soul, I would want to crawl into a hole and die. Right? If anyone ever told me I was dirty or smelly, because those were the shame buttons my mom had installed in me, you know, she used to say, I'm going to tell people you have a dirty bum. Like, what the fuck? Like, say that to like a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old if I wasn't doing what she wanted her to do. And I'm like, no, mom, don't tell people I have a dirty bum. That's awful. And she'd be like, I'm going to if you don't do. Just her way of controlling me because she felt like she had to. And I probably was a little shit, in fairness. So I had that installed in me. So if anyone ever told me that I was dirty, then, you know, I just had so much shame. I had the shame button installed. Ryan, my husband, does not have the shame button. And so I learned very quickly, oh shit, it doesn't work. And I had to now I just ignore it. Now I realize that the way how I can hurt him when he farts is by just completely pretending I didn't hear. So no reaction. And I just hold my breath, and he's looking at me, waiting for a reaction. And I'm just like, just on my phone, pretending I didn't hear. And that actually hurts him more. So anyway, why am I telling you this? Because whenever I found out that these things, I see the questions coming through now, good. Whenever I found out that these things hadn't been talked about, or people weren't discussing GLPs in the groups, they weren't discussing being on medical weight loss injections in my groups, I realized that the only reason someone wouldn't discuss it is fear or shame. They felt ashamed to do it. They felt fearful of telling other people. They felt fearful of being judged. They felt like maybe they were cheating, or people would accuse them of cheating. And I was like, no, this will not exist. This will not happen in my groups. I will not allow people to feel shame, because one of the things that you will learn about me, if you don't know me very well, one of the things you will learn about me if you ever work with me, work for me, is that every person is accepted for who they are, for what they believe, for the color of their skin, for their accent, for their country of origin, for their religious beliefs, for their sexual orientation. I love everybody. I love people, and I do not judge anyone for anything ever. And it was horrifying to me that I was running Facebook groups that women were not, they did not feel that they could be honest in these groups about what they were doing. And so literally that day I came into the office and I started making this content. And I started I really wanted people to know that this was a safe space. I fully supported their decision to, use these medical weight loss solutions. They are a tool. They are not cheating. They are, we're all grown ass women here, right? Like we're, if I say, sometimes people don't want to do the hard work. They just want to be given the tool, I saw a great post last night by Dr. Mike Israel, and he said, Like if you took your computer in to be fixed and the guy said, well, yeah, I can fix your computer, but first, I need to teach you a little code because, the best way for you to be able to troubleshoot this problem in the future is for you to learn how to code and how to whatever. You'd be like, fuck the code. Just give me just give me the solution. Like, he was like, give me the number of your superior. I want you to fix my problem. So if someone has a major problem with weight loss and they're like, I've tried every diet, I've tried every exercise program, I can't stick to the diet, I can't overcome the food noise, I can't make it work. If this is how someone feels and that they've tried absolutely everything and they can't make it work, and they want to like try the medical weight loss, why is that a bad thing? I just don't get it. Like I'm all for it. But what I really want to do is teach women how to do it safely, because what I'm seeing now coming through is I'm seeing a whole host of women who are losing a lot of muscle mass and who are damaging their metabolism because they are on far too high doses of the meds, but they don't know who to go to for support. They're maybe getting medications from pharmacies. They're getting it online. They've no one to ask. They've no groups to ask. They've no experts to ask. They've no one to say, well, here's what I think that you should do. Let's try this and let me support you while you try it, And so I want to be that person. Me and Laura and the coaches, we are all arming ourselves with information. Dr. Rachel is getting very, very informed with the GLP-1s and the medical weight loss solutions. She's going to be on hand to answer questions. I'm doing a live interview tomorrow. Well, I'm doing an interview with Dr. Tina Mur tomorrow. I was going to stream it into the Facebook group, but I can't do that now because they closed down the Facebook group and removed my streaming access. I'm not allowed to stream for another month into the Facebook groups. But I think I may stream it live on YouTube. So I will send out a link for that. Laura, remind me. And we're going to get you the information that you need. So let me jump into some of the questions and see what's going on. Mia is saying, hi, Mia. It's so good to see you here. Great to see you. No question today. Just want a bit of motivation for starting the shred next week. I can definitely give you that. If you let me know what you're struggling with, I can absolutely help you. Carrie is saying, so good to see you, Carrie. The shame button is, yes, my mom always said I was an ungrateful child. Oh, that hurts my heart. Like, no children are ungrateful. Like, they don't know. Children are entitled because everything just comes to them from their babies. They don't know. Don't understand earning. It's so ridiculous to think that a child would understand the concept of earning when everything has just been given to them their whole lives. Like, they have to learn that concept. You guys are all laughing. Okay, Stephanie Ruse is saying, I've been on injections for 3 months and I'm finding myself in the morning having no energy, very lightheaded, and I do not want to eat. I'm forcing myself to eat, but what can I do to avoid this feeling in the morning? So here's my experience, Stephanie, from microdosing GLPs. I have found that because my appetite has definitely been dampened, it's not my appetite has been dampened, it's like I do feel hunger, but my desire to eat has been gone, like you said. And so what I have found happens is the dopaminergic pathways that are there, that are stimulated, that make us want to seek pleasure, are very dampened or completely crushed, depending on what dose of the medication you're on. And so if people who are on too high a dose actually find their dopaminergic pathways are crushed completely. So not only do they not want to eat, they don't want to go out and socialize, they don't want to drink, they don't want to shop, they don't like, they almost become apathetic in a way. But what I have found from microdosing Ozempic is that if I feel hunger in my body, so I recognize the hunger cues, as in I feel that my stomach is empty and I feel my blood sugar is dropping, but I don't feel hungry. So I went into Laura's office yesterday and I'd been recording like several podcast episodes and I suddenly kind of got lightheaded. I found in the second podcast episode, I was looking at the camera and I found myself struggling to kind of string my words together. I was like, oh my goodness, my blood sugar is definitely low. And so I went into her office. I was like, do you have snacks? And of course, Laura's pregnant. So Laura has lots of snacks. Every hour is snack time in the Sculpted vegan office at the minute, Sculpted Menopause office. So I was like, do you have any snacks? She was like, of course I do. She pulled out everything, vegan cookies, chocolate cookies. So I was like, happy days, give me one of those. So I had a vegan chocolate cookie, did not have any appetite for it. Wasn't like, oh, yummy, delicious, look at that vegan cookie. And I picked it up and I munched my way through it. And that gave me a blood sugar boost. And then, because what happens is whenever your blood sugar is low, a lot of people don't understand how the blood sugar affects the brain. So this is what's happening to you, I think, in the morning. So I'm going to break down what's happening. So whenever you eat, your body breaks down what you eat into glucose, right? So that's absorbed through the small intestine, and then your blood sugar rises through your glucose. Your liver stores a certain amount of that glucose as glycogen. So your liver, the stored glycogen in your liver is responsible for fueling your brain. That's the only, well, one of the only things that it does. It does a couple of other things, but that's the main thing it does. Stored glycogen in liver fuels the brain. So if your blood sugar gets low, what happens is the glycogen in your liver gets low, which means that it's not powering your brain in the way that it should be. So your brain, you suddenly get a bit like, a bit lightheaded and a bit woozy and a bit, just feeling like you need some blood sugar. I just had that a minute ago. I just recorded 2 workouts back to back for the Sculpted with Science program. And by the end of the second one, it's already 4:00 here. I hadn't had my lunch yet, although I did have my shake quite late, but I started to feel kind of lightheaded. And I know that it was because my blood sugar was low. So it sounds like in the morning, what you're experiencing is your blood sugar is low. And, but the problem is whenever you're on the meds, this is what I've found as well. And I'm on a microdose. I'm on a 0.05 dose. I find that my urge to eat is gone. So my urge to eat is gone, but my stomach is telling me I'm hungry and my blood sugar is telling me I'm hungry. And the only way that I have found to overcome that is literally just to eat on a schedule. So I'm lucky. I'm fortunate in a way that I have been tracking my macros and calories for years, especially for the last year. So I'm on a prescribed number of macros and calories every day. So I have my breakfast in the morning, then I have my mid-morning shake at around 11, then I have my lunch between 1 and 2, then I have my dinner between 6 and 7, and then I have my evening protein mousse in a glass, which you all love. And those are my 5 meals a day. So my 5 meals are macro and calorie counted. So I don't have the option of missing a meal because I have my meals planned out for me. And it quite often comes to lunchtime and I'm not hungry. And it comes to mid-morning shake time and I'm not hungry. Now, I'm hungry. I can feel the hunger in my stomach, but I'm not looking at it going, oh my God, I can't wait to eat that. I can't wait to drink that. But once I'm eating it, I'm like, oh, I really enjoy this. It's lovely. Like last night I went to go to bed and I was like, oh, I definitely am hungry. Like I could feel my stomach was hungry because I was doing quite a lot yesterday and using quite a lot of brain power. But I didn't feel like, oh, I really need something to eat. But I thought, well, I'll have a bagel. So I had a bagel with vegan butter and I was eating the bagel. I was like, oh, this is delicious. Once I started eating it, it was absolutely delicious and I really enjoyed it. But what I've found happens with the GLPs is your urge to eat is gone. Like sometimes I open the snack cupboard at home and I'm like, I look in it and I go, normally I'd be like, oh, a wee bit of that and a wee bit of that and a wee bit of that. And my husband said the other day, you haven't eaten any of the vegan chocolate that I bought you because he bought me this gorgeous these vegan chocolate truffles. And I was like, yeah, I keep opening the drawer and looking at it. And I'm like, yeah. And I just close it again. Whereas normally I'm like, oh, like one. And then I go back, oh, another one. Oh, another one. I have to like physically stop myself from eating more. So what I find with the GLPs is that urge is gone. But if you put one in your mouth and you eat it, you're like, delicious. Like it's beautiful and you enjoy it. But the urge to have it and have another one and have another one and have another one is gone. It's gone for me. So to answer your question, Stephanie, what I would recommend that you do, what I would recommend everyone here does, is that you get on an eating plan. So you have to count out your macros and calories. Do it in advance, right? And I know this is tedious. I know it is. But if you want to protect your metabolic health when you're on these injections, this is what I would recommend that you do. Sit down and work out roughly what one day's food would be. You don't have to meticulously plan your meals and prep them and count them in advance and put them in the fridge and all. I'm not even suggesting you go that far. Just be like, okay, what would a good protein-rich breakfast be for me? For me, I have scrambled tofu in the morning. And actually, I sometimes have scrambled egg whites as well. I started eating egg whites a while ago, which I shared in some of my groups, and the ethical vegans were very upset with me. But I was like, it's high protein, it's easy. They're free range egg whites. I'm happy with my decision. So sometimes I'll have scrambled egg whites, which is very, very high protein, with a piece of toast. At the minute, I'm having them in a wrap. So I have a tortilla wrap with scrambled egg whites or scrambled tofu and some lamb's lettuce or whatever on top and some hot sauce. I wrap it all up. I eat it. I know how many calories are in that, right? So most of us have the same breakfast every day. You want to have a protein-rich breakfast. Then mid-morning, have a shake, right? Make your shake before you go to work or whatever you're doing during the day. Blend up your shake, 2 scoops of protein powder, and then blend it with, plant milk, or I just use water in mine, but blend it up with plant milk and, chuck a banana in there if you want. Smoothies are a girl's best friend whenever you're on these medications. So, and then plan out, okay, well, how many calories is that? You could probably put 400, 500 calories in a shake. So that's kind of your, your mid-morning or your lunch meal or whatever. If you're going to have that as a lunch meal, then make sure you pack it full of calories, right? Put in chia seeds, flax seeds, bananas, blueberries, strawberries, count them all out. Make sure that shake has about 700 calories, right? You can pour in some Udo Erasmus oil as well, really high in omega-3, really high in different fats, really good fats that you need, omega-3 fatty acids. Put all of that in and load that shake up. And if you only have breakfast, then you have that shake at lunchtime. If you have no urge to eat, you're at least getting your calories in. So between, say, a 700 calorie shake, which is very easy, put Vitargo in there as well, a very high molecular weight carbohydrate, absorbed into the bloodstream really quickly. It'll help with your liver, clear away any brain fog. So you could be having, say, a 400 calorie breakfast and a 700 calorie lunch. You're already 1100 calories in, which is perfect. Then in the evening, you have your dinner, and make sure that your dinner is something really delicious, good carbs. Last night I had a tofu Thai green curry. It was beautiful with rice. I can't even remember how many calories in it. I didn't look. I could probably tell you if I looked in my app because it'll all be counted. My chef does it for me. I'm very lucky. And then in the evening, I had my protein mousse with 30 grams of peanut butter and 1 scoop of protein powder. And I think there was probably 30 grams of peanut butter. I think there was probably about 130 plus, it was probably about 220 calories in that protein mousse. So even if you only had 3 meals a day, okay, even if you only had breakfast, your shake, and your dinner, you don't want to eat any less than 1200 calories. You really, really don't. You're going to damage your metabolism if you eat less than 1200 calories. You want to be aiming for about 1400 calories. That's how you're consistently going to lose weight over time. Give yourself enough fuel to fuel your workouts, to fuel your brain, to get through your day, to not have those brain fogs and, those moments of your blood sugar dropping. But if you ever feel that your blood sugar is dropping, if you ever feel like you're getting woozy and, like you said, you feel lightheaded and you have no energy, get some quick, fast acting carbs into you. So something sugary, even the other day, I could feel my blood sugar was really low. We were away at the event with the horses, and I had, I went and got a tin of Coca-Cola, and I had a tin of Coke because I knew that was going to give myself sugar to fuel my liver, to fuel my brain. And it perked me up within 30 seconds. So those are quick fixes, but the long-term fix that you really need to focus on is you must sit down and plan out in MyFitnessPal or in the app. You're in the Sculpted Menopause, right? You have the app. I keep forgetting everyone here has the app. Go into the food tracker and just plug in. Look at the recipes, look at the high calorie recipes, just plug in some food and plan 3 really easy quick meals that you can have during the day. And then even though you've no appetite, make yourself eat them, because it is so easy to fall into the trap of, I've been trying all this on as I've been doing this recently, as I've been going through the microdosing journey myself. I've been realizing that I don't have, a huge desire to, or a huge urge to eat. I have been realizing how easy it would be if you didn't understand how to protect your metabolism, how to protect your muscle, and why it was important, how easy it would be to get excited about not eating. Because there have been times when I find myself going, this is amazing. I have no desire to snack. I have no desire to eat. And just finding myself going, and then falling into old pathways of, wow, imagine how much weight I could lose. And then I go, imagine how great this would have been whenever I was competing on stage. Like, Laura, can you imagine how amazing this would have been whenever you're competing on stage? Like microdosing GLPs and just taking away all of your urge to eat. It would have been so much easier to stick to your diet. Like, bodybuilders are going to be using these on stage now, par for the course, because on microdoses, they just take away that urge to snack. But you don't want to crush your urges completely so that you're not eating, because that is what's going to damage you in the long term. Okay. It says, due to the large number of participants in this meeting, system messages for those who joined or left have been disabled. I don't know what that means. But anyway, what is the safe dose for microdosing? The place I went to has me increasing every 4 weeks. So what I have found is the standard dose, the medically recommended dose, which is so people don't know anything about microdosing. Because this is a pharmaceutical, it is recommended in the standard dose. And they have decided through trialing this on, a cohort of people, that the standard dose should be 0.25 milligrams. And you increase that, you take that every week for 4 weeks, and then you double the dose, you go to 0.5, and then you I think you either go to 1 after that, and then to 1.5, and then to 2, and then to 2.5. I think that's far, far, far too high. So microdosing, and again, I can only give you my experience. So I was going to microdose at 0.01 milligrams. And then I spoke to a friend of mine who is a prescriber, and she said, no, don't be doing 0.01. That's far too low. She said, do 0.05, do a fifth of the dose. And I said, oh, right, okay. Why? And she said, because 0.01 is too low. So, but here's the thing about microdosing. It's all an experiment. You just have to try it and see what works for you. And that's what I realized. I think a lot of women are scared to take control of their bodies. They're scared to, try something and then monitor how it feels and then increase or decrease. I've always believed that I am the master of my own body. I have never given up control of my body to anyone else, to any doctor, to any prescriber, to any PT or fitness person. Never. I've always believed that I am the master of my body. So I decided to start at 0.05 milligrams and see what happens. And if I'm getting the results that I want, which I am, because here's the other thing, you have to, Stephanie, know what you're going for. So a lot of women, I think, start these drugs and they go, I just want to lose weight. And I go, well, how much weight? And they go, a lot. I'm like, well, can you define like a lot? Like, when will you know how to stop? And they're like, when I'm thin. It's like, okay, well, you could just like shave off half your body and you'll be thin. So it's like, you have to have a goal, what do you want? What do you, this is no different than any of my bodybuilding programs I've been teaching for years. What is your goal in the long term? What do you want your body composition to be? Like saying, I want to be thin really doesn't mean anything. You have to decide what's your end goal. Do you want to have muscle? Do you want to just have less body fat? Because here's what I'm finding is that women who start these meds and they don't do strength training and look after the metabolism at the same time, they lose 40% of their muscle mass. 40%. So they end up fatter overall, because when you lose a lot of muscle, then your metabolism lowers and your body composition, your muscle to fat or muscle to lean tissue ratio, your fat to lean tissue ratio gets out of balance. So your fat is much higher and your lean tissue is much lower. So you actually end up fatter by a percentage overall. So you want to take the smallest dose that you can to start so that you're not symptomatic. Any drug that you would take ever that was prescribed for you, if you started having serious side effects, you would tell your prescriber or doctor, you know what they would do? They would lower the dose. You're not supposed to be symptomatic when you're taking a new drug. Also, one size does not fit all. Someone who had reactions to Ozempic and had got really sick and really, vomity or diarrhea or gastric issues may then be able to take Mounjaro or take Wegovy or take Zepbound or Tirzepatide, so just because it's like HRT, just because you tried HRT and it didn't work for you, doesn't mean there's no HRT that will work for you. So you have to try different doses. You have to try different drugs. But I would say the starting dose is 0.25 milligrams. If anyone, but that's for obese people. You have to understand that. So that's for people with a BMI of over 30. So if you are not obese, then you really want to be thinking about, well, if I have a BMI of like 15, well, then I want to be taking, certainly half the dose or less than is recommended for someone who's obese. So obese people do have to take higher amounts of the drug, I have found in my research, in order for it to work. But the other thing is you don't have to take higher amounts straight away. And I know that we're all impatient, but you want to do this safely. So what would be the downside to starting lower and working up? But to answer your question, what is a microdose? Well, whenever I spoke to Dr. Tina Mur, we had a long conversation last week on Zoom. Amazing woman. She said to me that I could take up to 1 milligram and that would still be considered a microdose. So 0.25 is the starting dose, and then it goes to 0.5 and then up to 1. Okay. So she said I could take 1, which would be kind of month 3 for most people, and it would still be considered a starting dose. So she said, if you find that that the effects of it wear off now, or you find that your hip pain hasn't decreased significantly, then you can increase the dose. So I'm going to stay on 0.05 until I feel I need to increase. How will I know? Well, let me tell you, since starting it, My sleep is through the roof. I go to sleep. I fell asleep last night at 10 o'clock. I fall asleep like that. And I didn't open my eyes this morning until 10 to 7. I get up at 4 a.m. I wake at 4 a.m. on the dot every day. I'm not waking through the night. I don't pee through the night. I woke up this morning and I was like, I didn't get up to pee in the middle of the night. It is shocking to me. It's been a full 7 days now since I got up to pee in the middle of the night. It is unbelievable. So if the symptoms start coming back, then I will increase my dose. If my hip pain doesn't decrease, I will increase the dose. But what I'm really scared of is I don't want to crush my appetite anymore, because even though I'm eating and I'm tracking all my macros and calories, my urge to eat is gone. And I don't want to crush that any further. I really don't. I really want to make sure that I'm staying super energized and, ready to eat, because I'm doing so much workout. So I'm working out so much and I'm doing so much thinking at the minute with growing the business. I just want to make sure my body is fueled. Okay, let me see. Oh, great. I was like, oh my God, there'll be loads of questions here and I won't get through them all, but there's not. That's great. So I can take a long time answering the questions. So let me answer a question about the shred. So Mia is asking, for the shred, I only need or want to lose about 3 kilograms. Should I stick to my gym plan or try the dumbbell plan at the gym? I do not have heavy enough dumbbells at home. Okay, Mia, I think that you should try the dumbbell plan. And I'll tell you why. I think that you will be shocked when you do it. You will be shocked at how freaking hard it is. Now, here's the bottom line. You can't work your back as well as you can in the gym. And that's the bottom line. We do one arm dumbbell rows, we do pullovers, we do a lot of deadlifts, dumbbell deadlifts, RDLs, that kind of stuff. We do reverse rows, we do landmines with a dumbbell. So you can't work your back as extensively as you do in the gym, but I haven't noticed my back getting any smaller. And the other thing is your legs, I am not clearly working my legs as hard as I do in the gym. But you know what? I don't actually mind that, because what I'm finding with my shape is I have lost an insane amount of body fat. And everyone's going, that's because of the GLPs. I'm like, all the haters. I'm like, well, no, I've been on them like 10 days. So I lost the weight before I'd started those. But one of the things that I have noticed from doing these workouts is not only have I not lost muscle, how do I know I've not lost muscle? I'm standing on the scale at 69 kilograms. And the scale hasn't budged, but I am so lean. Like, I have lost so much weight. It is unbelievable. But yet when I started doing these workouts, I was 69 kilograms. And now I'm standing on the scale and I must have lost, let me think. I'm sure 68% body fat, easy. And I'm standing on the scale at exactly the same weight as I started. The only way you stand on the scale at the same weight you started is if you've lost body fat and put on muscle. Because, sorry, not lost body fat. And you've lost body fat is if you put on muscle. There's no other way to stand on the scale at the same weight. If you're thinner, but you're the same weight, you've put on muscle. Now, your body composition, if you continued to do dumbbell workouts, would change, because you're working your body in a different way. I've noticed my shoulder caps are coming out, so my shoulders are getting bigger. My arms are leaner, like longer and leaner. My traps aren't as big. My chest isn't as big, which is nice because it had gotten really bulky. But my legs have taken on this really long, lean, beautifully long muscular shape. And do you know what the best thing about it is? My glutes. My glutes are lifting every day. I see the amount of dumbbell deadlifts and single leg dumbbell deadlifts we've been doing. My glutes are and glute bridges, they're just lifting like they've never lifted in their life before. And everyone keeps going, Kim, your butt looks amazing. I'm like, I know it really does, doesn't it? Like, I'm so excited. It looks amazing. And so I challenge you to try the workouts, because here's the other thing. If you don't like them, or you feel like there's a part of your body which is missing something, you can do you could do leg day if you wanted on the machines. So, wasn't able to train at all last week because I was away with the horses. And well, I did some of the workouts here, but I really felt like I needed a heavy leg day, and I was going to go and train in my gym last night, but then I was like, I can't be arsed. I'm going to be doing loads of training tomorrow, and I did 2 workouts today, and I'm going to do another one after this call. So to answer your question, if you want to lose body fat, doing the workouts in the Sculpt challenge will actually cause you to lose more body fat than anything else, because we work in sets of like 60 seconds on and 30 seconds off, or 45 seconds on and 30 seconds off. So you're not really getting a huge rest between the exercises. So that's keeping the heart rate high the whole time, and it's keeping the heart rate up in the fat burning zone. And so we're working on the concept of metabolic stress, where we're really burning out the muscle tissue. And in the first set, you'll think, oh, this is like pretty easy. You know, I'm missing my heavy workouts or whatever. But see, once you're like in that workout and you glance at the clock and you're like, oh my God, there's still 15 seconds left. And you start to like die a little bit inside. And then you realize you've still 2 more sets to do of this god awful torture with only 30 seconds rest. See, whenever you can't just like take 3 minutes rest if you need it, you have to just go again after 30 seconds. You realize just how high intensity these are. I am loving the dumbbell workouts. I'm loving them. They're short, they're intense, they're over quickly. I don't wake up in the morning completely beaten up. My body is literally never sore anymore. And I just feel amazing. They just work with my central nervous system in a way that the gym wasn't working with it anymore, you know, because I actually watched a whole video yesterday from a menopause expert. And what she was basically saying was, in menopause, your entire I can't remember the name of the receptors. What are they called? It's like a weird word, opagi or something, or whatever. You have some kind of receptors in your body that that actually start working in reverse once you start to hit perimenopause, and where they controlled inflammation in your body, now they cause inflammation in your body. So as you hit perimenopause, your body naturally starts to become more inflamed. And that's why we get joint pain and hip pain and muscle pain, and things hurt the way they didn't before. And that made so much sense to me whenever I read it, because I used to love going to the gym. And even whenever my body hurt, I was like, oh, it's just, it's just muscle soreness. It's just fatigue. It's just whatever. But see, waking up every day and not having that feeling anymore, it's just amazing. So I absolutely highly recommend that you give them a shot, because you've nothing to lose. You're not going to lose any muscle in 4 weeks. If you don't like them, then you can just go back to the workouts that you did before with no harm done. Okay, so Stephanie is asking, I want to lose weight, but I do not want to lose the muscle. I have decreased a lot of inflammation. I love that. I'm so thankful for this program. I'm all in and doing the training today. I'm not obese, just wanting to lose another 15 pounds. Thank you, Kim. This is all very useful. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm so happy to be of help. Thank you so much for asking the questions. I really appreciate them. And I'm just loving diving into this subject. And more than anything, I'm loving causing a bit of controversy around it. I have to be honest. I'm loving the stir that it's creating. I'm loving the hate that it's stirring up, because I love challenging people's beliefs. I love challenging what they think. I love making people think a little harder and a little deeper. And you're never going to change people's minds. But let me tell you, I fully believe that in 10 years, every single person is going to be taking peptides. So GLP-1 is basically just a peptide. It's a short chain amino acid. Amino acids are basically the building blocks of your body. They make up everything in your body. A peptide is just a short chain amino acid, and then it links your body links the peptides together to make amino acids, which are the building blocks of your muscle tissue and your cell tissue and every tissue in your body. And so that's all a peptide is. And I fully believe that everyone in 10 years is going to be taking peptides. I also recently started testosterone because I got my bloods done and I realized my B12 was low, my magnesium was low, despite me supplementing with those things. And my testosterone was low for the first time ever. It wasn't hugely low, but it was a little bit low. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to wait until I start having symptoms of low testosterone. I'm immediately going to get on a testosterone supplement. So I went to see my menopause doctor. She prescribed me testosterone. It's not prescribed for women in the UK. She had to prescribe off-label. And I have to take 1/8 of a sachet. So I put it in a little syringe, and then I put 8 marks on the syringe, from once I pulled it in and the syringe was filled, I put 8 marks on it. And then I just gently push up 1 mark in the morning, put it on my stomach, rub it in. And I don't know if the testosterone gel is doing anything or not. My libido is definitely good, but my libido is always good, but it's definitely a little supercharged at the minute. And lucky Ryan. And so apart from that, I'm not really sure what else what else the testosterone is doing, but I am fully in the belief of your body, you're just a big walking hormone. We're all just a big walking hormone. Apart from Laura, she's now a monster walking hormone at the minute, growing a little human inside her. And I just believe we're all a big walking hormone, and we're supposed to have estrogen, testosterone, we're supposed to have progesterone, we're supposed to have all, insulin is supposed to be regulated. We're supposed to have all of these hormones regulating our body. And as we get older and things start to break down, we need help, right? If we're years ago, we wouldn't have lived 30 years past menopause. We would have died. But now we're living longer lives. Like we have, people would have been like, what's the age of retirement now in the UK? Is it like 70, 68? I think it's 68. Like women died at 65 years ago. You weren't supposed to be working until you were 68 years of age. But yet we are expecting our bodies to work and live in fast-paced environments and take care of grandchildren and sometimes eat, shitty food and still function without the hormones that, cause us to live long and healthy lives. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm big into prevention rather than cure. I've had a lot of hate online and people have said, oh, you're not what I thought you would have been. I thought you were all natural, everything. And I'm like, me? Natural? Like who? Where did you ever get that impression? They're like, because you're the sculpted vegan. I remember once putting a teaspoon of sugar in my coffee. I met a journalist. She was doing an interview with me, and I met her for coffee. And I asked for sugar. I got coffee. So can I have sugar, please? And she went, I can't believe you take sugar. And I went, why not? And she said, because you're the sculpted vegan. And I was like, and she said, I just thought that you would have been like so healthy. And I was like, I am, but I take sugar in my coffee. So it's like, I just like a sugar in my coffee, not in my tea, but in my coffee. But it's funny how people have these preconceived notions of you. They think, oh, you're the epitome of health. You would never take any drugs or hormones. You're into natural everything. I'm like, no, I'm not into that. People offer me natural remedies all the time. I'm like, no, thank you. I'd rather take the drugs. I'm not like pro pharmaceutical, but I am very much, I like natural remedies and I'll try natural remedies. And my sister was like, you need cayenne pepper and castor oil. And she would have like given me these heat packs with cayenne pepper and castor oil to put on my hip. And I have to admit that, when they were on, it felt good and I didn't have a lot of pain when I was sitting, but it didn't take the pain away. So, whereas I do wear a magnet now around my ankle and that has taken the pain in my hip away. But I'm like, give me the drugs. Like if there's a peptide out there that's going to stop me from being inflamed to help me to feel better, I'm taking it. Like there's no martyrdom around here. Like I'm not pretending that I am anything other than I am, but it's amazing how people want me to be some kind of, perfect pinup of health and success and fitness. And they want me to, not drink and, not take peptides. And I'm like, I'm sorry, love, but that ain't me. I'm just over here living my best life. So Carrie is saying HRT has really helped me, but I still have lots of fatigue and low libido. I just don't recover like I used to. Carrie, you need to change how you're working out. This is your sign from the universe to do the dumbbell workouts. But also, Carrie, get your testosterone levels checked. If you haven't, get them checked. And I would suggest, if they are low, looking into a testosterone supplement. And I don't know whether you're interested in exploring microdosing GLPs, but I can highly recommend it. My mum started as well last week, and she messaged me and she said, the pain in my shoulder is gone. She has had this pain in her shoulder from frozen shoulder for years. She said, the pain in my shoulder is literally gone. She started microdosing as well. And she said, and Kim, my food noise is gone. My mum's not overweight at all, but she said, I'm eating at meals, but I don't have this like, oh my God, I'm starving, I need to eat. And then I messaged her yesterday and I said, Mum, how are you sleeping at the minute? And she said, it's weird that you ask. I am sleeping so well. She said, it must be the moon. The moon, my mum's obsessed with the moon. The moon must be in its whatever cycle, so it's making me sleep better. And I said, what if it's not the moon? What if it's the GLPs? And she was like, oh my God, maybe it is. So since she started GLPs a week ago, she has noticed that, like me, she's not getting up in the night to pee. Biggest thing, weird. And she's not, she's feeling like energetic and she's sleeping like a baby. So the GLPs really do seem to work with the sleep. Carrie is saying she tried testosterone gel, but it didn't do much. I would like to know how long you tried it for, Carrie, because it does take your receptors in your body about 3 months at least to regulate to testosterone or to any hormone actually. And you may have been on the wrong dose. You may have been on too low a dose if it didn't work for you. So that's another thing to consider. A lot of times people say, I tried that and it didn't work for me. But they only tried one part of one thing. They didn't try increasing or decreasing the dose. They didn't try a different brand. They didn't try, for long enough. A lot of people say I tried HRT and it didn't work for me. I'm like, how long did you take it for? Women have said to me so many times, I tried HRT and it just made me worse. I'm like, oh, how long did you take it for? And they're like, a month. I'm like, a month? That's all you gave it? Like, that's all you gave your brain time to readjust to these new hormones in your blood? Like, of course it's going to make you feel better. And like, it made me 10 times better in one way, but 10 times worse in another way. Whenever I started HRT, it took 3 months for my body to regulate to the HRT. And then whenever I increased my dose of HRT, I had to go through the re-regulation again for 3 months. And it went and like, it was awful. It really was awful. But I was determined to stick it out because I knew that it took 3 months. Carrie's saying not long, a month, and now my doctor won't prescribe it because it's off label. Okay, so a month isn't long enough, darling. You have to take it for longer. But if your doctor won't prescribe it, try and see a private doctor. I'm not sure. I think you're in America. I'm not sure what it's like in America, but you should be able to get it off label prescribed somewhere, I'm sure. And I always say that where there's a will, there's a way, right? Whenever a lot of times people go to their doctor and they go, oh, well, my doctor didn't want to give it to me. I'm like, did you insist? I had this conversation with a friend recently, very good friend. And she said, I went to the doctor and they won't give me HRT. She's 47 in full perimenopause. The temperature on her Oura ring is up and down. Like, whenever we were together, I was like, oh my God, this is horrendous. Like, she's having night sweats. She's had irregular erratic periods. She has PCOS. Like, it's terrible. And she said, I went to my doctor and my doctor, they want me to do a blood test and a saliva test before they give it to me. And I went, that is bull fucking shit. I said, did you like insist on it? And she went, what do you mean insist? And I went, did you just say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not doing the saliva test. I'm a candidate for HRT. Here are all my symptoms and I'm not leaving here until you give it to me. She was like, no. I went, why not? And she was like, I don't know. I didn't think you could do that with doctors. I was like, this is your body, your life. You have to advocate for yourself. I go into the doctors and I go, here are my symptoms. Here's what's wrong with me. Here are all of the options I have looked at. Here are all of the treatment options that I have considered. I would like to know your opinion on these and if you have any other options. And quite often they're like, oh, wow. Like, they don't expect someone to walk in so informed. And I have an informed decision, an informed conversation with my doctor. And then, like, my doctor tried to talk me out of testosterone. She said, she said, you got the result. You don't really have any symptoms of low testosterone. So are we just treating the result? And I said, maybe, but I don't care. I said, I'm happy to treat the result. I'm happy to see what happens, start the testosterone. I will monitor and then we'll do another blood test in 3 months and we'll decide. She was like, okay, fine. Whereas if I had listened to her, I would have probably gone, oh, okay, well, so you don't think I should start it? And she went, well, no, you don't have any symptoms. So I would err on the side of caution. I was like, no, I'm happy not to err on the side of caution. I'm happy to make this decision as a grown ass woman and I will take control of my body. And so I think that many women are just afraid not to take control of their body, but you really have to advocate for yourself. You have to inform yourself. You have to read the labels on everything. You have to research online. You make the decision for your body and then you go in and you have an informed conversation with your doctor. And even if they disagree with you, doesn't matter. Like, you can, and I have found that if you are just persuasive enough and informed enough and data driven enough, you can persuade your doctor to do anything. Maybe not any doctor to do anything, but really they are there to serve you. They are there to prescribe for you. And if you are going in and saying, I am making an informed decision for this thing, how can they refuse? It is their job to make you feel better. And if you are educated, then they have no reasonable grounds to refuse. Like, remember, a doctor's first oath is first, do no harm. They just want to make sure that they're doing no harm. But if you say, here's why you're not doing any harm, and here's why I have all of the data, and here's why I believe that this is the right decision for me, and you're not, obviously a drug user or an ex-addict who's saying, prescribe me the methadone, it's like it's very, very unlikely that someone is going to refuse. But the problem is people just don't know they can advocate for themselves, and they see doctors as gods because doctors are put in the same realm as teachers, and we're taught to fear teachers when we're younger. And therefore we tend to, bow down to the gods that are the doctors and listen to what they say rather than, taking control of our health into our own hands. Like, the way I look at it is, this is my body. And my number one goal in life is to feel good, to run my company, to, you know, spend time with my kids and my husband, to be the best mom that I can, be the best business owner that I can, but mostly to have a really good bloody time in this life. That's my main goal, to have a good time and feel good doing it. And if there's a doctor standing between me and something potentially that could make me feel good, then I'm going to fight for my right to have it. And I'm not going to listen to some doctor who says, well, no, your bloods are fine. Well, fuck you, doctor. I don't care what you say. I want HRT. So I've just learned that the only way that you can really advocate for yourself is to become very well informed. If you can't have a cohesive argument with a doctor, a cohesive discussion with your doctor, you're not going to be able to change their mind. So one of the things actually just I want to finish on is, a lot of people have asked me how I got the my Ozempic prescribed off label here in Belfast. Well, I asked around and asked around and asked around, and I found the name of a doctor who I was told was happy to prescribe, you know, GLPs to anybody, really, anybody who, after a phone consultation of their needs, he was happy to prescribe. But he hadn't prescribed off label before. So my friend said, just lie, just tell him that you're, you know, you have a BMI of over 30 and you're obese and you've tried everything and blah, 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 and he'll just give it to you. And I said, I really don't feel comfortable lying. I'm not going to. I think I'm just going to be honest. So I got on the phone with the doctor and I said, okay, how honest do you want me to be? And he said, I want you to be as honest as you feel you can be. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I said, I'm not overweight. And in fact, I said, I'm the opposite of overweight. I'm a bodybuilder. And he was like, okay. And I said, but I want to start microdosing Ozempic. And here are the reasons I want to start microdosing. And so I started to tell him all of the research that I'd done, all of the things that I had learned, all of the, you know, the ways that I had found that these GLPs were changing the microbiome in the gut and regulating insulin levels and the different effects and things. And he was absolutely blown away by the argument I was able to present to him. And he said, okay, well, you know, what was the doctor's name? And I said, Dr. Tina Mur. And I gave him, you know, Mike Israel, and I gave them some, and there was some obesity doctors I'd studied. I said, here are the doctors that I've looked at. Here are the things that, you know, how I've made my decision and whatever else. And he was really interested in the microdosing. He said, I've actually never heard of this before. You've really opened my eyes today, blah, blah, blah. So after a 20-minute conversation, he said, okay, given that you are an adult and you are coming to me with informed consent, I am more than happy to prescribe off label, given that, you know, you have decided, you know, you've done your research, you've made this decision, you've taken this decision into your own hands. I'm more than happy to prescribe off label. So he said, but I can only prescribe you the regular dose, but you need to know how to, you know, manipulate the clicks. I said, it's totally fine. I said, I have a chart, which I found online, which is, which tells you how many clicks gives you you know, what dose. So 4 clicks gives you 0.05 milligrams. So 18 clicks gives you 0.25. So you click the pen round to fill the dial. So click, 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 click. So I do 4 clicks and that's 0.5 milligrams. And that's what I have been microdosing on. And he was happy to prescribe off label. But had I not gone in and had I just gone in and gone, I want a microdose, do you know anything about it? He would not have prescribed for me, because he would have been like, I don't even know what that means. What even is microdosing? So if I had convinced him that, I don't even think that he would have. So you have to advocate for yourself, but you have to be well informed if you want to microdose and you want to find someone who you can be honest with. But just in any situation, please know that if you need hormones or you need, you know, testosterone gel, or you need, Carrie saying I'm a nurse. I definitely don't think doctors are gods. I'll go to another doctor. Good woman, Carrie. So you just want to make sure that you are advocating for yourself in every way and just informing yourself as much as you can. That's the only way I found to really get anywhere with anybody. So guys, this was awesome. I feel like I just talked a lot. There wasn't a lot of questions, but there's been a lot of listeners, which is good. So if you're watching the replay, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was informative. Here's what I would love for you to do, everybody here, please, if you would. There's a couple of things I want you to do for me. I don't ask this enough, but I'm going to ask now because this is not something we ask enough in our company. I want you to do 2 things. I want you to post in the community in the app. If you would, if you enjoyed this call and you find it informative, please tell other people in the app. Just post in the main chat and just be like, oh my God, I was on the call with Kim and here's what I learned. Or here's, you know, I was totally closed off, but now I'm more open. Or I learned this, or I did that, or, you know, just post something, because I want to try and get more people to these Zoom calls. I want to try and open women's eyes. I want to remove the stigma, the fear, the judgment around it, the first thing. Second thing is, if you know anyone who is on these meds or who could benefit from the information in the program, I know that it's a paid app and there's no other way we can do this, unfortunately, without without Meta shutting us down. But if you know anyone, any of your friends, and you could share this information with them, share the app, get them to sign up for a 7-day free trial, get them to sign up and join this call during the 7-day free trial, use the community, see is the app something that they would like, and get them using the Sculpted by Science program. I know that it's hard to get people to work out, but even if you can just tell your friends about it and recommend it to your friends, yes, it's going to help me obviously to, build the community more and build the app more, but that in turn helps me to help more women. So I don't ask enough for people to share, what we do with their friends, but I would just love it if you guys would. And I'm just making a shameless ask, because the more women we can reach, the more money I make, as the more money the company makes, the more women we can reach with really, really good products, the bigger our vote is in the world for what we want to see. And I want to see women's health being revolutionized, turned around and promoted, because men have been dominating for far too long, and it's women's turn to really get this information out there and stop judging each other and making, being thin the holy grail of life, because it's really not, especially not if you're thin and unwell. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I know a lot of you were just on listen, but I know that you were here energetically with me. So sending you all a big hug and a big kiss. Let me know how you enjoy the Sculpted by Science, Sculpted with Science. Keep saying Sculpted by. Maybe you should just change the name, Laura. Everyone's calling it Sculpted by Science. So Sculpted with Science. I hope you enjoy the workouts. Let me know if you guys would like anything more, or if there's anything else that we can give to you. Oh, you're so sweet. Helen saying she woke up at 2 a.m. To listen to this. Helen, you get the overachiever star today, the gold star for being an overachiever. Morgan is saying thank you, and Josephine saying thank you, and Tanya is saying thank you, and Carrie too. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate the effort, especially getting up at 2 a.m. That is really phenomenal. So I'm touched and honored that you did that. And this is going to happen every single week, same time on Zoom, 4 p.m. Link is in the app. I hope to see as many of you as possible. And if you can't join it live, you can catch the replay. I'm not sure where the replays will be, but Laura will know. Laura, where are the replays? Tell them before we go.
The replays, so all in where the rocket symbol is in your app is where all the coaching calls live, and there's a replay playlist in it, and we'll add the scroll to it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So you can go back and watch it at any time. Okay, thank you so much for being here, Laura. Thank you for being here. I can see that Coach Rona is here as well. Thank you, Rona, for being here. Thank you to everybody else, and I will see you all hopefully next week, same time, same place. Have an awesome rest of the week wherever you are, and bye, guys. I can see Josephine and Tanya and Carrie, and people are like, oh, quick, let me get the camera on. See you all next week, guys. Okay, love you all. Take care. Bye.